Chintamani prakarashadamashu Kalpavriksha lakshavrijeshu Shurabhirabhipalayam Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambhramasebhyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kanantamaravinda Davayatakshim Bharavatam Shamachitam Buddhasundaram Kandarpakoti Kamani Abhishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasha Vanamala Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranayakeli Kalamilash Shamam Trivangalalitam Niyat Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Angani Yaksha Sakalandriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Shadau Jalavigrasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Adaitamachyutamanadimanandarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayopanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Madurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantaśtukoti Chadabakshara Sampragamyo Vayor Yathapi Manasya Punipungavahanam Chopyaste Yat Prapadasyam Niyabhichinta Tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukala Niyamena Tishan Nana Avatara Karo Bhuvaneshu Kindu Krishna Swayam Samabhavar Paramapumanyu Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Raja. Ishvara Parama Krishna Chachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govind Sarvakarana Karanam Sarvakarana Karanam Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridham ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Am I
You're welcome.
audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Nice to see you. You are
Thank
good.
you for your blessings.
Now you they bless also.
Thank you for your blessings.
Hare Krishna. I put the verse on the screen so we can start, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanti Mirandaksya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshuro Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyabari Paschasya Desatarine Sri Chaitanya Nanobistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Syam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Marijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanembhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadisi Gora Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I like to Shiva Sadisi Gora Bhaktavindam. I like to welcome everybody who has come and make themselves present for this. And I like to formally beg for all your blessings and that I may be able to do this service on my purification for the benefits of all that has converged. Our reading today is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, prayer by Kunti, text number 13. And it is a continuation of the pastimes of Uttara's crying out for help from Krishna, and then the release of Brahmastra, second set of Brahmastra by Ashutama against the Pandavas and their anticipated offspring in the womb. So we'll do this sloka. Vyasanam vikshatat sam ananya visayatmanam sudashanena swastrena swanam raksham vyadadigo Vyasanam vikshatat sam ananya visayatmanam sudashanena sastrenam swanam raksham yada vibo Vyasanam vikshatate sam ananya visatatmanam sudashanena sastrena swanam raksham vyada vibo. Synonym: Vyasanam, great danger. Vikshya, having observed. That, tesam, there. Ananya, no other. Visaya means atmanam, thus inclined. Sudashanena, by the will of Sri Krishna. Swa astrena, by the weapon. Swanam, of his own devotees. Raksham, protection. Vyadat, did it. Vibhut, the Almighty. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Ho. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan base to protect them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmastra, the supreme weapon released by Ashutama, was something similar to the nuclear weapon, but with more radiation and heat. This Brahmastra is the product of a more subtle science, being the product of finer sound. A mantra recorded in the Vedas. Another advantage of this weapon is that it is not blind like the nuclear weapon, because it can be directed only to the target and nothing else. Ashutama released the weapon just to finish all the members, the male members of Pandu's family. Therefore, in one sense, it was more dangerous than the atomic bombs because it could penetrate even the most protected place and will never miss the target. Knowing all this, Lord Sri Krishna at once took up his personal weapon to protect his devotees, who did not know anyone other than Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished. And he behaves according to the quality or degree of devotional service rendered by the devotees. Here the word Ananya Visayatmanam is significant. The Vandavas were sent to stand dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all great warriors themselves. But the Lord neglects even the greatest warriors and also vanquishes them in no time. When the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashutama, he took up his weapon, even at the risk of breaking his own vow. Although the battle of Kurukshetra was almost finished, still, to his vow, according to his vow, he should not have taken up his own weapon. But the emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as Bhakta Vatsala, or lover of the devotees, and thus he preferred to continue as Bhakta Vatsala than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow. Ukankaroti Vachalam, Pangam Langa Yate Girim, Yakripa Maham Vande, Shri Guru Dinatarinam, Yakripata Mahamande, Paramananda Madhava, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaraha. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for being present, and thank you for giving oral reception to this session. The chapter or the text we are reading is a very, very important text, in the sense that the whole substance of devotional service culminates in this very text. And so you'll find in the text, Bhakta, the devotee, Bhakti, the process of devotion, and Bhagwan, the supreme personality of Godhead. This is like a trio of real life and real activity and reciprocation that commensurate with the amount of activity that we perform. So this very text is also a tonic or elixir for our faith, because by hearing this kind of discussions, our spirit is elated to be confident that in doing devotional service, we will not be bereft of reciprocation. Also, this text is a very, very conspicuous presentation of the game of chess. The game of chess is always targeted that the king must die. So you have the land soldiers, you have the officers, everybody is protecting the king. But the opponents or the aggressors, their target is to kill the king. Now, if you look at the episode we are reading, Ashotama is not ambitious to become the king, and is not thinking to fix anybody as the king, but he just wants to make sure he destroys the dynasty of the Pandavas. And he played this checkmate. He checkmate the Pandavas. The son, their grandchild in the womb, and then themselves. So in this kind of situation, when we are subjected to this situation that we are wholesomely threatened, we are apt to respond accordingly. But the text we are reading, according to Srijiva Goswami, he echoed the word Vyasanam. Vyasanam is in the text, which is the first word in the text. Prabhupada translated great danger. Jiva Goswami said they could not quickly counteract the danger, which is also in the purport of Prabhupada. They could not quickly counteract the danger because of limited time. So Srila Krishna used to tell us that we are all living on borrowed time. And this is a clear-cut situation that the danger is conspicuously before the Pandavas. They have all their weapons, they have every extra, but they were not able to respond in time to be able to counteract it. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in explaining the same text, mentioned that Brahmastra can be counteracted by another Brahmastra. Arjuna already in the past counteracted the Brahmastra that the same Ashotama had released. Now Ashotama has released 5 separate Brahmastras for each of the Pandavas and to their child in the womb. And it was difficult to counteract because it could take time. This is where the reconciliation is. They could not respond in time because it will take time to release 5 Brahmastras to counteract the 5. Considering this, the unavoidable danger, the Lord had renounced all weapons. He protected his devotees, even if he had to break his own vow in order to preserve his unique quality of having affection for his devotee. So time was a major constraint. But you can deduce from this that Krishna, he understood Why is it that Krishna can understand? Will be a question that will be raised. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse 15, Krishna said, Savasya reading Sane Visto, Mata Smriti Jnanam Apunamcha. I'm seated in everyone's heart. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So, because he's all-knowing, he's able to know. The lack of time, the inability of the Pandavas to be able to respond to the Astra, he intervened. And that's why I say it's like a game of chess. If the king is threatened, either the queen, the bishop, the queen, the bishop, and other officers, the knights, they converge or rally around to make sure that the king is not endangered. But sometimes you see that in checkmate, all the officers will be there, but the game will be checked. And what happens? You may make a wrong move of one of your land soldiers, and you open up and endanger the king. This is similar what has happened in this case. Ashotama was released and let free. And that created the lacuna, the opening for him to attack them. And when he struck, it was a real checkmate. There was no time for them to protect themselves. And if it's in game of check, if you're in this kind of check, you only own up and then the game will end. But because Krishna was in their company, Krishna did the needful to ensure that they are not endangered. But if we take credence to our own material circumstances, many times we are apt to trust in our own material possessions, material connection, material facilities, material circumstances that we think will be able to help us. The Pandavas have the same thing, even better facilities, but they were endangered. And it is obvious, a lesson, that every one of us, irrespective of the kind of security or gadgets or circumstances that we seem to have in our favor, we will definitely always encounter a checkmate that may be very difficult for us to attend to. But then we depend always that we can do something. But in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 27, Krishna specifically mentioned, and there is also chapter 3, text 27, Krishna said in the sloka, Prakriti Kriya Manani, Guna Kamani Sabasa, Hankara Vimudatma, Kataham Itimanyate. That the spirit soul, that is the embodied being, is bewildered by the influence of false ego and thinks himself the doer. When we are thinking our material circumstances, our ability, our connection, our capacity can protect us, we are acting out of bewilderment of false ego, because the activities actually are carried out by the three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature are the ones who are doing, and that's what he said in the first sloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that the material manifestation is an interaction, it's a reaction of the modes of material nature, and they are temporal. They are temporal. Krishna makes it look like they are real, but in real sense, they are false. So all what we have around us that we are depending on will fail us. So like Krishna once told me in Benin, he said, your family will fail you, your education will fail you, your finances will fail you, your connections will fail you. He said, but Krishna will never fail you. This is brought to bear in this very text we are reading. Krishna will never fail you. So in the purport to this 27th text, Prabhupada is saying, two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. There is a wide gulf of difference. Why? where they have planted their strategy. So in chapter 7, text number 14, the purport, and the text says, Krishna mentioned, Devi he saguna mayi, mama maya duratya ya. Mame ba ye propagante, maya etan tarantite. This divine energy of mind consists of the three modes of material nature. Is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond them. Those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond them. So the person acting out of false ego, but the activities are actually conducted by nature, is substantiated here. And then in the purport, Prabhupada gave one very fine allegory. Being in the material body, being in the material world, we're already in a very, very helpless situation. But many a time, it doesn't dawn on us how much helpless we are. And so we should take the appropriate measures to ameliorate our situation. So in the purport to that 7th chapter text of 14, Prabhupada gave an analogy. He said, a man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. That's a very strong word. So all what we are banking on around us will not save us. It will not free us. It will not help us. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. The person who is bound cannot free himself, and the person who has to free him will not be somebody who is also bound. He has to be somebody who is unbound, because the bound cannot help the bound. The rescuer must be liberated. Just like he said, the blind cannot lead the blind. They will both fall into the pit. So therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be free from the bondage of material nature. And this facility is made available through devotional service of Krishna consciousness. That's how the help can come and one can gain release. So this analogy is very appropriate to those who are thinking in terms of what they can do for themselves. And in chapter 12, also, chapter 12, text 6 and 7, in the purport, Prabhupada gave another, which is like corroborating the fact of our helplessness and how we can be secured. So in the purport to that, these two texts, Prabhupada said, the text is, by those who worship me, giving up all the activity unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service and always meditate upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Peter, for them I am the sweet deliverer from the ocean of death and death. So in the purport, Prabhupada gave some analogies again too. He said a child is completely cared for by his parents. A child is completely cared for by his parents. And thus his position is secure. So security is not going to come by the volume of the material things we have been able to amass or that we are banking on. It is just that if God be for us, nothing can be against us. And if God is for us, that is the point of security. So Prabhupada went in another analogy and said, although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. So similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. So this is a counsel, this is advice, and so it is enjoined or demanded from us that we have to heed the call of Krishna. Our trust in Krishna, Krishna makes it clear when he demanded in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 34. Always engage your mind in thinking of me, become my devotee. And in chapter 18, chapter 66, he said, give up everything. Sarvadhamma parityaja, mame kam saranam vraja, aham tvam sava papebhyo, mokshamisyayi ma sucha. Just surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Said, do not fear. Do not fear means you are secure. And he went further in chapter 9, text number 22, to corroborate his claim by saying that not only will he protect, not only will he secure them, but he said, Ananya chintaya to mam, ye jana parupasate, tesam nitsat biyuktanam, yoga shema bahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, this word here, exclusive. We're all doing devotion, but there's also exclusive devotion. Meditating on my transcendental form, to them, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. This is the scenario that we are in here. Krishna is keeping what the Pandavas have and is bringing what they lack. They lack the capacity to intervene in their dangerous situation, and Krishna waits in to attend to it. And Krishna in the Papa Prabhupada is saying it is because of their level of surrender to Krishna. Their surrender to Krishna is very unflinching, and that is why in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text number 13 and 14, it says, O son of Prasad, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of my divine energy. So once we get into devotional service and depend completely on Krishna, we are under the protection of the divine energy, not the external energy. The Maya Prakriti becomes divine and it does things in our favor, not to ensnare and entrap us. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the supreme personality of God, original and inexhaustible. This is very interesting word, original and inexhaustible. So you can see that in this text, Ashuttama, if he has conceived the concept that Krishna is original, Krishna is inexhaustible, and Krishna is in the company of the Pandavas, he would have been a little bit reserved in exercising or executing what he did, but he was bereft of this knowledge. And so he went ahead and did it. And so Krishna is saying that those who are devotees, he has promised them a lot, and he becomes captivated to execute his promises to them because of their level of engagement in his service, their level of submission to him, and their level of dependence on him. So he said in text 14, 9:14, Satatan kitayantu mam, yatantasya dridravata, namasyantasya mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. They are always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. Said these great souls perpetually worship me in devotion. And in chapter 10, text 10, which is the part of the heart, the center of Bhagavad Gita. The heart of Bhagavad Gita is called the Chatu Sloki, the 4 slokas where Krishna summarizes what actually devotional service comprises of and how he is able to reciprocate. So in text number 10, he said, Tesam satata yuktanam bhajantam pritipuvakam, dadami buddhi yogantam yenamam upayantite. He assures that those who constantly are devoted to serving him with love, he gives the understanding by which they can come to him. And it proves that on our own, we cannot do it. Just like the analogies Prabhupada said, we need some external help to be able to attain, to achieve what we have set out for. And in the preceding sloka, number 9, Krishna exemplified those who are actually committed to serving him. He said, Machita magata pranam, budayanta paraspara, katayanta shamam nitya, tusyanticha, ramanticha. That the thoughts of my pure devotees, it didn't say just devotees, pure devotees. And in the other portion we read, exclusive devotion. The thought of my devotees always dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is what the life of a surrendered, pure devotee is like. And Krishna stresses in that 1866, surrender unto me, abandon every other. So if you have to be strict and resolved in serving Krishna, you find out that all the distractions that are there in the material world created by the reactions of the three modes of material nature, you should not allow them to dissuade you. So in Hidden Krishna's Call of Surrender, he mentions that there are six steps of surrender. And if you understand this, you will see that the ball game of devotional service is not a child's play. It's not just a child's play. And many times we think because we have come in association of devotees, we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we're taking prasadam, and so we have arrived. But there's still a long way to journey if we want to be recipients of all these promises of Krishna. And the first limb of Saranagati, which is surrender, is Anukulyasya Sankalpa, accepting only anything that is helpful for obtaining Krishna. Whatever will help us to get Krishna, we will accept. And Pratikulasya Visayan, rejecting anything that is an obstacle to obtaining Krishna. These are the first two things. It's like yama and niyama. Accepting what is helpful and rejecting what will create an obstacle. And number three, Pratikulasya Vishwasa, faith that Sri Krishna assuredly grant me protection. This is what the Pandavas are enjoying here now. The faith is there. The conviction is there. And this same conviction is expected of us too. That Krishna, irrespective of whatever circumstance we are in, will give us protection. But when we don't think like this, we'll be depending on other external factors. But every other external factor will fail. Because life is like the game of chess, and Sri Krishna is the chief chess master, is the main chess master. He knows how to get in, he knows to ensure that the king is killed. So if we depend on Krishna as a chess master, depend on Krishna because Krishna is conscious of everything. That's why he called Abhijanat and Swarat. He conscious directly on and indirectly of every manifestation. He knows. And he's also independent. It is his independence that is exhibiting here, although he took vow that he will not raise weapons during the battlefield. Prabhupada is saying, although the battle has almost ended, the battle has ended actually, whatever Ashotama is doing is a reaction for the loss in the battle. And so Krishna exercised his independence. And that is why when we are dealing with Krishna, it is a different ballgame altogether. You should expect anything. Because Krishna's independence is not dependent on how you think, how you feel, and how you comprehend it. It is because Krishna has to act like Krishna. So Krishna took up weapon, and what is the weapon he took? Yesterday we were hearing, and in the preceding lectures, the Brahmastra cannot be counteracted by any other weapon except by another Brahmastra. And the Pandavas, especially Arjuna, has the capacity to counteract this, but he did not have sufficient time. He did not have sufficient time to do it. He could have done one for himself, but he cannot counteract for Yudhishthira, he cannot counteract for Bhima, he cannot counteract for Nakula and Sahadev, and at the same time, counteract for the child in the womb, Parikit. So Krishna seeing this, Krishna understanding this as a big knot, he has to exercise his independence by using the Sudarshan Chakra. And this shows us that when we are taking shelter of Krishna, the level of protection that we enjoy is immeasurable. Although in the purport, Prabhupada made a lot of reference in comparison to the atomic weapon. But Bob Marley, his disappearance was 2 days behind, or yesterday, said, have no fear for atomic energy because none of them can stop the time. Have no fear for atomic energy. Atomic energy is referred to as the most dangerous. Brahmastra is referred to even more dangerous than atomic weapon. But Brahmastra is glorified because it is made out of the mode of Buddha. Papa said, final sound, which is in Sattvic, Sattva Guna. But atomic bomb is made out of ignorance, and so it does blind destruction. But the Brahmastra is specific. It goes to the target and it can be withdrawn. But atomic bomb, once it is released, it cannot be counteracted. It is just to devastate and destroy. So Mali said, even with that, you don't have to be afraid. Why? If you have God, God can intervene in whatever situation you have. And especially for those of us who are in Nigeria now, with the kind of turbulence, insecurity, and threat to life and property that we're experiencing, people are disheartened. People are not very sure of anything. But there's a call by Krishna for us to intensify our devotion. Actually, if we ever practice Krishna consciousness in Nigeria, this is the time that we'll do the best practice, the highest practice, to prove our dependence on Krishna and call upon Krishna for intervention. If you look at in Chaitanya Charitamrita, before the advent of Mahaprabhu, there was an astrological pronouncement about the solar eclipse that will occur, that will bring all kind of ill fortune to people. And it is not specifically slated for the Hindus, nor for the Muslims, nor for the Christians, nor for the unbelievers. It was for everybody. And along with that, the therapy was prescribed that just chanting the name of Hari will counteract the effect. So if you look at the episode we are reading now, when Uttara came, she chanted the glory of Hari by saying, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin, Deva Deva Jagatpate, Nanyam Tuat, Abayam Pasye, Yatra Mityum, Paras Param. He was crying to Krishna. And the same thing was predicted, cried by calling the name of Hari. And for us, Mahaprabhu said, Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. Kalo nasieva, 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 gatir anyata. So we take shelter of the holy name, we'll be free. Otherwise, there is no other way. There is no other way. So the third aspect of surrender, which is particularly Viswasa, said that Krishna will surely grant us protection. And in our own case, we should increase the chanting in Nigeria, especially, whether we're able to go out or we're not able to get out, but the chanting of the holy name should be on the increase. You can see when Panchajagri Prabhu was to leave his body, within that span of 10 to 14 days, that was in the hospital and he was to leave the body. If you know the volume of chanting that was going on all over the world, on social media, on YouTube, on WhatsApp, directly live, there was so much for Krishna to intervene. Yes, the devotees were doing in the mood that Krishna should revive him. But Jayapataka Maharaj was mentioning that the corona is just only an external factor for him to live. That the real situation is that he himself has desired to live. And Krishna fulfilled that desire. But we will not understand it. We will only be seeing the external factor. But that notwithstanding, devotees have to protect themselves. So the fourth aspect of surrender is Gopi Trite Varanam, embracing the Lord as guardian. If you've seen the previous Brahmastra that Ashutama released, Arjun exhibited this. He dependence solely on Krishna for guidance. He waited to know from Krishna what was the cause of the dark cloud, what was the cause of the darkness, what is the cause of the heat. And Krishna explained to him that Ashutama has released Brahmastra. This is also to prove Krishna's quality of abhignat. He's conscious, directly or indirectly, and indirectly. So depending on Krishna for guidance is the fourth aspect of surrender. Not depending on any other thing. But in the analogy that we read, he said, either Krishna or his bona fide representatives, we should depend on them. And Rupa Goswami said, it is only by taking shelter of the Guru, because Guru is a bona fide representative of Krishna. And then the fifth one is Atma Nikshekpa. Atma Nikshekpa, self-dedication, committing yourself 100%. That is what the Pandavas are, the exclusive devotion, not just devotee and spending some time. I'm a Prasadam devotee or whatever kind of devotee you claim to be. But exclusive devotion means you submit yourself completely to Krishna. That is what Bali Maharaj did. When he had no other thing that he could offer, he gave himself completely. And that giving of himself was able to attract so much of reciprocation from Krishna that Krishna ultimately became his gate man. You can imagine that. So that is why in devotional exchange, the bhakta, through devotional practice, God subjugates us and we also subjugate God. God subjugates us that we have to do his bidding, but God becomes captivated and subjugated by the exclusiveness of devotion that we execute. So that's why complete self-dedication is important. It's just like in case of Draupadi. Draupadi once was to be stripped naked, she was calling Govinda with one hand raised and the other hand tussling or struggling with the person who was dragging the sari.
Dushashan.
And because this is not complete self-dedication, she was half dedicated. One hand up for God and one hand in self-defense. So God was watching her. But when the saris were quarter to Bangbatelo open, she raised the two hands and shouted, "Hey Govinda, will you allow me to be disgraced in this public courtyard?" When the Atman Nisheka, after Nisheka, took place by complete dedication of herself, Krishna personally came and became sari, unlimited sari, that Dusasan could not pull. Imagine what volume of sari can any woman tie? 6 yards is the normal woman's sari. But one military man, he said he had the strength of 10,000 elephants, was pulling 6 yards of sari endlessly until he got tired and stopped. That is mysterious. So, but when I said that Bhakta and Bhakti subjugates Bhagwan, first Bhagwan subjugates you by demanding surrender, but you subjugate Bhagwan by the level of self-dedication that you do. And lastly, which is the sixth point, is at every time, the devotee is conscious that in this material world, in having this material body, is completely helpless and is lamenting the experience of his helpless condition. And because he knows this, he cannot resort to any other source for help. He cannot. So he keeps strictly to following Krishna. So these 6 principles are the demands for surrender. And once we are able to exhibit or cultivate and apply these 6 principles of Saranagati, obviously we subjugate Krishna. Imagine the way that the Pandavas have subjugated Krishna. Not only the Krishna has to use his Sudarshan weapon, he uses his own personal weapon. And that Sudarshan chakra, once it is released, there is no other thing that is weapon that can stand. Nothing. It is the ultimate weapon because it's the direct weapon of God. So when that weapon was released, the Brahmastras automatically became neutralized and the Pandavas survived. Now, not only did Krishna neutralize the weapon, the Brahmastra that was targeted towards Parikshit in the womb, Krishna personally went into the womb. You know, this exhibition is what the devotees enjoy that the impersonalists do not enjoy, or the Mayavadis. God is a person, is what Vyasadeva stressed and emphasized in the Bhagavad Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam. God is a person. So that frustrates the Mayavadi that no matter how much advanced, how much exalted they are, there is something that they will not enjoy, which is the personal exchange with God. And that personal exchange is what is bhakti. So bhakti makes God subjugate the devotee, and bhakti makes the devotee to subjugate God also. So Krishna has to go into the womb of Uttara. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the details of how Krishna went into the womb is further explained in this same canto, canto 1, chapter 12, text 7 to 11. How Krishna went into the womb, and he said Krishna was roaming. He not just came there and he sat like a lord. And as he was there, the child Parikshit could see him. Parikshit was able to identify that there is a strange person here. The person is roaming, hovering around the womb, and he ameliorated the radiation of the Brahmastra by waving his club. He was just waving his club all around him, and also circumambulating. And so Parikshit became curious. Who is this stranger? And then all descriptions about him, his garment, his bodily look, his size. His size, the size of a thumb. And by the time Parikshit became so absorbed to find out, Krishna has finished his business and he left. This is the point that made Parikshit, when he was born, he was always searching for that personality that he saw in the womb. It is that curiosity of that personality he saw in the womb that made it that when he was caused by the Brahmana boy to die in 7 days, he felt, yes, life well spent. I represented my lineage. I protected and acted in the interests of my citizens. But there's one thing that I have not achieved. That personality that I saw in the womb, I still do not know about him. I still have not seen him. And I should spend these remaining 7 days to find out about that personality. So he resolved to go to the bank of the Ganges for the last 7 days, fasting, not eating, not sleeping, not drinking water, only because he wants to know that personality. So that not drinking water, not sleeping, not eating is actually complete self-dedication. So if we want this level of reciprocation from God, we should be ready to pay the price. There's one very fascinating story that I know in the Bible, which is in the Chronicle of the Kings. The king's name is Jehoshaphat. 3 nations of Israelites, 3 nations wanted to attack Israelites at the same time. And those 3 nations, when the Israelites were going to Canaan, they spared them. They destroyed many others, but they spared these 3. All of a sudden, these same 3 ganged up against them and was coming to wage war at the same time. The king did not depend on his armament, his soldiers, his military strength. The king did only devotional service. First, the king declared a national fast. Everybody should fast. And by the evening of that day, we should converge and seek the face of God. At the end of the day, in the evening, they came, and then the Spirit of God spoke that the battle is the Lord, and he will give the enemies into your hands. The battle is the Lord, and the enemies will be handed over to you. So the king pronounced this loudly to everybody to give them courage and hope, and said, tomorrow morning, we have to converge to set out to go meet our enemies. So when they came the next morning, everybody gathered. Instead of setting up battalions of platoon of soldiers that will go for attack, the king set up choir. He started kirtan. People started chanting. The chanting was so absorbing that time was conspicuously absent. They were so absorbed in it, chanting from morning until around evening. They realized, we're just been busy chanting. The enemies must have come very close. So they sent a few of their enemies to go to the tower, to a few of their members, to go to the tower and check how close the enemies have come. Those people who went to the tower, what they saw, the enemy had arrived. But it is only the dead bodies of the enemies that they see, with all their treasures spread in the field. All of them died. So the mystery is, who killed them? Why did they not kill the people of Judea? Because God was present in the glorification of him that they were doing. And so God moved mightily. Just like Krishna has moved now to do the same bidding for the Pandavas. He moved, he counteracted the Brahmastra, he went to the home, he protected and preserved Parikit, and at the same time, now, cause Ashotama. There will be a vagabond, just like how Cain was also cursed in the Bible, wandering. Everybody who sees him will despise him like that. So this same experience is in all tradition and theology, but it's just a question of what is the decision we are making ourselves. It is not about narrating stories, it's not about storytelling. That's why I said it is elixir for faith. It is to stimulate our faith that this same God that did the same yesterday will do the same today, and he will do it forever. So when we are coming close to God, we should remember, just like that song they sing in the church, he said, when trouble comes, Jehovah knows, Jehovah sees, and is the one who can give you peace. Same thing the Pandavas are experiencing here. The problem came, Krishna knew, Krishna see all of it, and Krishna moved mightily with his independence to give them peace. So this is an assurance for anybody who is practicing devotional service, but we should try not to do haphazard, half-baked, wishy-washy devotional service. We should take seriously these 6 names of surrender, accepting only what is favorable for us to please and get Krishna, and reject without any compromise whatever would be an impediment for devotional service, and be convinced that Krishna surely will grant us protection, and we should completely depend and embrace Krishna as our ultimate guide. Depending on Krishna as ultimate guide is also same as depending on Guru and Krishna. And when we have accepted them, we have to do their bidding. That is the subjugation I mentioned earlier. And always remember that we are helpless. Just like the analogy we read from Prabhupada's purpose, that if you are bound hand and feet, you cannot help yourself. You cannot save yourself. You cannot free yourself. Only the person who is not bound and is free is the one who can help you. And Krishna is not in any way affected by the influence of the material nature, because he is the master of material nature. And that one makes Krishna different, or Krishna Vishnu, different from Brahma and different from Shiva. Shiva has direct association with Prakriti and is influenced by Prakriti. Brahma has association with Prakriti, is influenced by Prakriti. But Vishnu is not influenced by Prakriti because Prakriti does the bidding of Krishna. That's what Lord Brahma said. Srishti Sthiti Pravaya Sadhana Shakti Eka. Ichani Rupam Apiya Sachate Statesa Govinda Madi Pushaka. Ichani Rupam. Durga only does the bidding, the wish of Govinda. Govinda does not concede to the influence of Durga. So he is the right person to put our faith in, and that's why it's mentioned that if there's anybody to be worshipped in the material world, the manifestation of Vishnu is the right person to worship, and Krishna, no demigods. It's not that you disrespect them, you have to understand and relate with them as bona fide representatives of God, but not look up to them as the ultimate, because they also have their shortcomings. And so, from the text we have read, this text, I said, is a stimulus for our faith. And if God could do this for the Pandavas, is there any reason why he will not do the same thing for us? But to he whom much is given, much is expected. So you should be ready to pay the price. That's why I say, Ye yata man papa diante, tamsa daiva bajami ham, mama batmanu batante, manusya part service. All of them, as you surrender, I reward. So it is the level of your saranagati that will attract the level of reciprocation that you get from Krishna. But we should stay connected in devotion, remain devotees, and recognize the absolute platform of Bhagwan Krishna. Then we will be able to live through our life and continue to join Krishna in whatever pastime he wants of us, or he wants to take us back home, back to Goloko Vrindavan. That is up to him. That is his prerogative, which is what Ambarish Maharaj was saying. Kill me or protect me. That is up to you. It's your prerogative because you are independent, Swarat. You can do what you like. My own is to be your devotee. My own is to serve you. That was his prayer. And you saw the miracle that was wrought. The fiery demon was destroyed. Duvasamuni was being chased by the Sudarshan. And in the end, Ambarish was preserved. So this should be a very big tonic to reflect on in our practice of devotional service, that if we do it rightly, we enjoy the right benefit. And if we are not already enjoying the right benefit, we should not blame it on anything. I was reading a post that day where he said that ISKCON, it is not about the institution, it's about us. What are we doing in the institution? So if the tenets of ISKCON is on, ISKCON is on, means the activities, the surrender, the saranagati is on, then obviously we will enjoy this reciprocation. That is why in the memorial they were doing of Panchajagri Prabhu, he said that Prabhupada said, ISKCON is here, ISKCON is also in the spiritual world. Because the same Krishna consciousness we are practicing here, we will practice in the spiritual world. And so when we leave here, we will meet again in ISKCON, in the spiritual world. So I thank you all for being present. Time is fast spent, and I want to punctuate here in case there are questions, your contributions, or some corrections. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. ISKCON is here. ISKCON is in the spiritual world, and we all meet in the spiritual world in ISKCON. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. We're very grateful to have you. It's a thought-provoking class, and I believe so many questions are going to be raised in the course of the question section. But for now, I've not seen any hands up, so therefore, I will lead by asking a question which came to my mind in the course of your discussion. You went into so many planets But one thing caught my attention when you were narrating the story in the Bible, the power of the holy name. And I'm relating that to the narrations also when you said, when Pankaj Prabhu was preparing to depart, using the COVID-19 as an external reason, devotees were chanting, praying that let the Lord give him some more time to stay with us. But Krishna took him. And in that story you narrated, the devotees were chanting, and Krishna protected them. So what is the parameters in between this? Why is it that sometimes Krishna, when we pray, he answers? What is the cause that sometimes we pray, he doesn't answer? What makes the difference?
Hare Krishna. Very nice question. Thank you for that. And the answer is very simple. When I narrated the story of King Jehoshaphat and the people of Judea, remember I said, the king declared fast. And he declared that they gather in the evening to break their fast. And when they were breaking their fast, because God was pleased with them, God spoke to them that this battle is my battle. I will give the enemies into your hand. That is the promise of God. God promised, and he will do whatever he says he will do. So in case of Panchajagri Prabhu, yes, the devotees prayed. They were praying there, but do we know what Panchajagri Prabhu was praying for? So in all, Krishna is called Bhakta Vatsala because Krishna only does the bidding of his devotee. He may not be of all the devotees, but he must do the bidding of a devotee. That is what is called Satya Sankalpa. The wish of a pure devotee must surely be fulfilled. It's a must. Look at the example. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying in his balcony and he was seeing very gingerty structure. In the 16th century, it's his wish, but did he build it? No. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj did not build it. Prabhupada directly did not build it. But third generation from Bhaktivinoda, they are building the World Planetarium Temple of in Mayapur now that will be inaugurated in 2023. But it's a vision of generations, centuries past. So the thing is, Krishna may fulfill all of us desire at the same time, or Krishna will fulfill specifically one person's desire, and that is who he feels deserves it most. Look at the case of what we are reading now. It was Uttara who came to Krishna, was requesting him to intervene. It wasn't the Pandavas, but because of the Abhijna quality of Krishna, he's conscious. He knew that Brahmastra had been sent by Ashwatthama to kill the 5 Pandavas and to kill the baby in the womb. So Krishna only released Sudarshan Chakra. He neutralized that was coming to the Pandavas. But Krishna personally went into the womb to protect the baby in the womb because Uttara had asked it. That is Satya Sankar. Whatever a pure devotee desires, Krishna must surely fulfill. This is the parameter that we use to measure. Hare Krishna. I don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Nicely answered. Thank you very much. Still, I'm not seeing any hands up here, and it appears that the devotees are fully satisfied with your explanation of the test. But as expected, we have one hand up now, and it's coming from the great general, the only general himself on the Bhagavatam platform.
I hope he's not coming with Brahmastra also.
Not General Sa'adib. So Sa'adib, please kindly unmute and answer your question.
Hare Krishna, Ganga Prasad Prabhu ki jai.
Sa'adib Prabhu ki jai, Dandava Pranam. Thank you for being in the audience.
You always remind me of Ratnat Maharaj. He's so sweet, especially when you chant his pranam. Prabhu, you did mention something that has been, I would say, like a bone of contention.
Where's Anita? You know where she's at?
No.
Good on the floor. Ah, that's that bad.
Sorry. It's been a bone of contention in the sense that some devotees feel that a devotee should not do anything at all. We should always depend on Krishna, just like in the case of Draupadi, who was trying to hold on to a sari with one hand and one hand calling Krishna until she had to raise both arms to call Krishna, totally surrender. As compared to when Krishna himself had to interfere in the Brahmastra that was thrown towards Uttara's son, because Krishna said, because the Pandavas will not be able to counteract it on time, and so he was doing it himself. Now, I would want you to shed a little bit light on when does a devotee try to do something to defend or protect himself, and then when does a devotee just sit and just call on the name of Krishna for intervention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful question, although very, very slimy or slippery. But it's very simple. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Krishna said, even your body, you cannot maintain it without walking. Your body. And that word, maintain your body without walking, is not only that you have to go and earn. Doing exercise to keep your body strong, keep your body mobilized, is also a way to help yourself. So you must do something. It's only the karma sannyasis that out of too much of knowledge, but the essence of knowledge is not there. It's a Maya Parita. The essence of knowledge is not there. They feel this material world is illusory and then it brings only misery. So it's better we don't do activities that will bring reaction. Better we don't do activities that will bring reaction. But that is not Krishna's mind. Krishna said in the second chapter, Kamane vari karaste, ma paleshu kadachana, ma kama fala hetubu, mate swango swakamani. He said, you have a right to action. Please take note of that. You have a right to action. So not acting is pretentious and it is misleading. You must do something. The Pandavas represent this. Arjuna fought in the battlefield in obedience to Krishna. Rather, he was thinking he would go to the forest and become a beggar. But Krishna said, no. That is the mood of Krishna. That is what it means. So, anukulya sankalpa, accepting what is helpful in obtaining Krishna. You must do something, but it's not that you are depending that what I'm doing is what is give the ultimate benefit. What you are doing is what will attract Krishna's attention. You see the case of the sparrow and his eggs and Garuda and the ocean. The sparrow lay her eggs, the ocean carried her eggs away. The sparrow came back and requested. He wasn't aggressive. He was polite. But the ocean was full of himself and said, you can go to hell. And the sparrow resolved, he took a sankap, a pledge. If you don't give my eggs back, I'm going to drain you. It's like an empty boast. Little sparrow boasting to exhaust the ocean. In the real sense, the sparrow does not have the capacity to exhaust the ocean. But because he made that little attempt that he has to do what is rightful to reclaim what belongs to him, the news about this little effort spread all over the universe until it got to Garuda. And Garuda, in admiration, in appreciation, intervened himself and came before the ocean and told the ocean, yes, you may look at him as small, but the same thing he has said he will do, I will perfect it. So give the eggs back. So our little effort is to attract Krishna's intervention. That is what we are actually working for. We are not working because we want to do it ourselves. We have the capacity. No, we don't have capacity, but we have been endowed with little Krishna said, I'm the ability in man. So why is the ability in us if we choose not to do anything? And when you say, we just want to surrender in devotional, is there any devotional service that without activity? I just came back from Mayapu, and the Prabhu, who is the director of the Mayapu Institute, can't remember his name immediately now. But I noticed that they are trying to build another complex in the institute. And they have to sandfield, huge sandfield. And so whole night, there are trucks bringing sand to fill the place. And Prabhu himself is with them from morning till night. He's preoccupied. Why is the director of this place? So I'm telling him, Prabhu, you are so amazing with your position. You should have this delegated. He said, that is what devotees do. Devotees think we should not do anything, we should come and enjoy. Did Krishna just, did Prabhupada just sit and was enjoying? And did Arjun just sit and was enjoying? You have to do something to attract Krishna's intervention. And I remembered in Port Harcourt also, Srila Krishnappa once visited, and when he was going, he came to me. I have not received that level of banging on my head. You know, when somebody bang his fist on your head, he banged my head. Whether I would have sank or I developed migraine, I don't know, but I don't know that there was a big bang theory in my head. And what he asked me, he said, did Prabhupada, he said, did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati have it easy? I said, no. He said, did Srila Prabhupada have it easy? I said, no. He said, then why do you think you have it easy? As I finished saying, why do you think you have it easy? He removed the garland you're wearing and put it on me. So that is just the final icing I can put on it. That it is perverted thinking for a devotee to think my renunciation means I don't do anything. There's nothing like that. That is laziness. And that is a conspicuous symptom of the people of Kali Yuga. Payana Apisu Sabia, Kalu Asmi Yugejana. Manda Sumanda Manda Bhagya, Hiupadita. That the people of this iron age, they have short life. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So such people that you see that don't want to do anything, they would be in that category of those who are always complaining because they will be disturbed. I don't know if this shed light on your question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu. Very, 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 very well explained answer. Very, very satisfactory. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Srivas Brahmachari's mic is unmuted. I'm anticipating or speculating that he wants to make a comment.
Thank you, Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
Grace at your lotus feet.
Wonderful class. More grease to your elbows.
It's by your blessings. Not even a blade of grass can move without your approval.
Srila Prabhupada's blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you throw a little bit more light on in the purport? Srila Prabhupada emphasized on the 100% devotion of the Pandavas to Krishna. And as such, Krishna personally had to intervene to save them. So you also emphasize a lot on the importance of 100% dedication to Guru and Krishna. Now, I would like you to contrast that with what Krishna says in Gita 240, that in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, that whatever little service one performs to Krishna, it still has the weight to saving such a soul. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's a nice question, and the answer is also very obvious. Krishna saying that no loss, no diminution does not mean that the ultimate benefit will accrue. As you sow, so you shall reap. When you sow exclusively in Atma Niksepa, which is complete self-dedication, and that is the vow that the sannyasi takes. He is dead materially. So if you can do that for Krishna, you are not looking up to whatever little advancement. I don't know if that is making a point. Krishna, the exclusive devotion of the Pandava is that, yes, they were doing their regular vocation, they were living their regular life, they were ruling their kingdom, but every 1 inch of their conduct was dependent on Krishna's guardianship. They were dependent on Krishna for everything. That is the difference. But when we want to do according to our intuitive likes and dislikes, yes, we will do something. We will chant 4 rounds. We will chant 6 rounds. We may even chant 1 round. There's benefit for all of it. But you cannot compare with the person who is chanting 16 rounds and more offenselessly. The benefit would obviously not be the same. So that's how we get it. But for whatever we do in devotional service, there is definitely going to be reciprocation, no loss. But the degree of reciprocation, the degree of the reciprocation we get will be calculated in terms of the level of our self-dedication. Just I remember you asking one time when we were speaking about giving some of our resources for the service of Krishna. What is demanded for householder in nectar of the instruction by Prabhupada is 50%. And in realistic sense, it will not be possible for many people who are low-income earners. Your income is not enough to pay your transport to go to work and pay your rent and feed you. Where will the 50% come from, Krishna? You know, that is rationally justified. But the fact that one can cut out some portion of his income for the service of Krishna, that is appreciated by Krishna. Krishna will reward. But not to talk of somebody who takes his full package of salary. Like Ruth said, if I perish, I perish. He can trek to his office without paying transport. He can live anywhere he finds without paying rent. He can depend on whatever meal he has, but he's committed that he has to give 10% of his work to Krishna. Definitely, the reciprocation he will get will be different from the person who is doing small. So that is how we should judge it. It's not that because we are doing some, then the reciprocation will be the same. No. But in all, there will be reciprocation. I don't know if that helps the situation or answers the question.
Got it.
Oh, yes, Prabhu, yes. Very well answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
made my day.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I'm not seeing any answer for questions off. And I think just like
Well, if there is nobody asking question, can I ask one more question? I always have questions. I don't know. I'm sick. I guess.
Prabhu, you're allowed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, I don't know if you read. I just posted something on our WhatsApp page about Sri Prabhupada saying is that Arjun and Kunti are eternally in this material world. When I read that, I was very much baffled. I said, wow. But what does it take for such Nitya Siddhas to eternally remain in this material world? When we say that Krishna appears and disappears, so what do they do when Krishna disappears from the material plane? That's my question.
Very, very good question. And you are not sick. It is because you are hearing the message of Bhagavatam attentively and submissively. That's why from the heart, you are probing. But in the same scripture, it said that when Krishna winds up his pastime in this planet, he resumes it in another planet. Because there are unlimited number of planets. Before Krishna will go around all the planets, you can imagine in one day of Brahma, and he comes back again here. So it is like a zoning formula. It goes from place to place. When it starts here, just like when the sun rises in the morning in Africa, it is not sunrise in America. It is also not sunrise in Europe or in Asia. But when it is sunset in Asia, it is not sunset in Nigeria. It is not also sunset in Europe and America. Exactly the same example. When the pastime of Krishna is set on this planet, it rises in another planet.
Ganga Prabhu, I think your mic is muted. Please kindly unmute back. Ganga Prasad Prabhu, you've muted your. Ganga Prasad Prabhu, you have muted your mic. Your mic is muted. You've muted your mic. Okay, good.
There's an interfering call. Okay, so it is the prerogative of Krishna if he chooses to take us to associate with him or to involve us. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or to involve
Yes.
us in his eternal pastimes in the material world. In both the cases, what are we looking for? Association of Krishna. That was why when the gopis were told by Narad Muni that if you give the dust of your lotus feet, you go to hell. That is heavy. But the gopis said, to hell with hell. Take the dust of our feet, what quantity you want. The important thing is that Krishna's egg be attended to. If we go to hell, Krishna will be with us in hell, so it's no longer hell. Mahaprabhu, so wherever you are is Vrindavan. So wherever Krishna is Krishna's pastime. So being in the company of Lord Krishna in different pastimes is the cherished wish of the devotees. So it's not like a minimization or derogatory experience that we should think, oh, why? No. It is Krishna's choice of reciprocating with his devotees. That is why it's called Bhakta Vassala. He is interested in the welfare of the devotees. So Kunti and Arjun, they are his eternal associates. So wherever he is, they will be. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
If that makes sense or is nonsense.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you very much. And since there are no more hands, I know there are no limitations to the questions. As one answer is given, there is a impetus to ask another question, because this is how the sages of Namisarayan did it. And also, where Sukadev Goswami explains one aspect of answer to Parikshit Maharaj, then it proves another question. So there cannot be an end to the questions. But for the purpose of other engagement, we will allow you to go now, and then look forward to seeing you very soon again on this platform. But Devarishi Prabhu is raising his hand. He's saying you are not allowed to go yet.
Okay, before he asks his question, let me just extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the Vaishnavas who are organizers of this platform. You will not know how much you have helped me to be on point with my devotional service because of associating with the devotees here. And it has acted like an impetus or stimulus for me to also be searching for association in other platforms. So I'm very grateful to you. You added life to my life. And I pray that Krishna will also reciprocate in the same measure with all of you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Devarshi-
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my
Nam-
humble obeisances.
I accept, I reciprocate. Tandava Pranam.
All glories to you, Prabhu. Please, me, I don't have any question. It's just to appreciate your class, because listening to you, I always want to listen again and again. And I pray that Krishna will strengthen you. We are waiting for you in Nigeria. You come fast so that you come and guide us. So just to appreciate your lectures, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I am eager to come back, but there's restriction of passengers from India to many parts of the world, America, Europe, Germany, Italy. There's restriction because of the heavy tsunami of the COVID. So as soon as there's a respite, I'm good to go. I'm good to come back. Thank you for the good wish.
Yeah. Divo. It's a good news to hear. So we're happy to hear this news, and we pray that Krishna pastime in the form of COVID-19 will subside very soon, so that we can see another pastimes. His pastimes is unlimited and is continuous. So definitely, I know this pastimes also his pastimes. The Lord's pastimes is Nitya Lila, it's eternal. So, but we are praying, and this particular pastimes, just like Arjun requested to see the universal form, and when he saw something, he requested. We are praying to Krishna that this pastime of his in the form of COVID-19 will pass so quickly, so that we can see another of his pastimes. But it appears Saturday Prabhu doesn't want you to go yet. His hand is up again, and I wouldn't know if it is enough.
Well, sorry, it's a question that it's not for. It's a question. It's not for Prabhuji. I'm asking the Ghanaian devotees. I've not been seeing Mother Gayatri Devi on the platform lately. She was one of the regulars. Any news? I remember that because Prabhuji mentioned her father's name, Drida Brata.
Okay. Devarishi Prabhu is in Nigeria now, so I'm sure it wouldn't be the may not be.
Yeah, I spoke with her yesterday, and she's fine. So I'll ask her to be in a class. Yesterday we spoke. Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
She's
That's
fine.
good to know. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Sadhu Prabhu, thank you for that devotee care service.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. We try to learn. We try to learn from you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so on this note, I will request all of the devotees to please kindly unmute now and let us appreciate His grace, Ganga Prasad Prabhu, for this wonderful class on this platform. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Shila Prabhupada ki.
Yes.
Praise Ganga Prasad Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna, Shila Prabhupada ki jai ho.
Vaishnava ki.
Yeah.
Jai Gora Vinande.
Haribo.
All glories assemble devotees.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.